Okay, we should be good on Instagram and good
Okay,
everywhere else. Fantastic.
perfect.
Right. Brilliant. So, first and foremost, I would like to say to the people, my voice, I just was explaining to Jade, my voice is mashed up. We've been at Japan Soca weekend. We've been doing a carnival in Japan, so you already know how it goes.
Cool.
Um, I would like to introduce you as a author, a musician, social commentarian, um, culture preservationist, and so many other things. What you are not is a Caribbeans, but we're gonna
Ugh.
we're gonna get into that soon, 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 soon. Jade the Gemini, or well, yeah, Jade the Gemini. That's
Hmm.
that. You can see the name there as well.
Right.
Um, Jade, the reason why I wanted to have a chat with you today is because I normally watch your posts on Instagram,
Hmm.
and I believe it's very, very important to spread knowledge, but not just beat people about the head with, oh, yeah, you must do this, you must do this, you must do that, but do it in a
Right.
very entertaining way and educate in a very entertaining way. And your page does that to the highest degree.
Oh, thank you.
We fully appreciate that. So, just for the people, just, maybe I missed out one or two things. Maybe you want to explain to them who you are and what you do.
All right. So I am a young woman who is from the Commonwealth of Dominica, and I am very aggressively West Indian, very passionate about our culture, our heritage, because my postgrad diploma is actually in culture and heritage studies. And my life journey has shown me, because I've been all over the world doing a lot of things. And to me, there's no place like the West Indies. There are no other people like Caribbean people. And I feel like a lot of times we sell ourselves short and we don't take into consideration just how amazing our region, history and present is. Like the way that we've been able to create brick by brick with our own efforts and our own ideologies a society that was born out of genocide and slavery. And it's now we have this very beautiful community where humanity is still preserved, and we don't see that in places where capitalism has their clutches in there. We're still very human people. We still care about each other. We have a lot of indigenous and African retention. We pull from so many places, whether it's from those who came over from China, those who came over from India, those who came from the Middle East, the first people and the people who were stolen from the continent of Africa. So we've had all of these things, and we could, like other places, be very tribalist and very segregated, but we chose not to. We chose to everybody just add a stitch, just like a quilt. Everybody add their patch, and we have this big blanket of warmth and culture and vibrancy. And I just think that's so unique and so special in a place and in a world that's so fractioned right now. For us to still have this Caribbean love and Caribbean pride, I just think it's beautiful, and I want us to be proud loudly and unapologetically, and don't let anybody make us feel like because we're from smaller countries that are what they like to call the third world, which doesn't exist, that we should put our head down. We have everything to be proud of, and everything I do is to spread that message and help us to become even more invested in who we are, what we've done, because I feel like when you are proud of who you are and where you've come from, you don't let anybody take it from you, because other people see the value of the West End. That's why they're coming here, buying our land, doing all of what they're doing. It's because they see the value. But when we see the value, we're gonna be like, you can lease it, but you can't own it because that's ours.
I completely agree with everything that you said. Part of the reason why we exist as Roman base as well is to spread pride. That's what I liked about you said, pride in who we are.
Yeah.
I don't know much about your like school and history, etc. But
Mhm.
just as a background, I came to the UK from JA, and you
Ah,
mentioned something about Haiti and the Haitian kids being teased. We will talk about that coming up with recent Donald Trump's comments and so on. And it kind of made me feel some type of way. You know, when I was going to school as a teenager, I had a lot of problems because of that. I had a lot of problems because I sounded different, etc., etc., etc.
I'm sorry.
So because when you said that, I was like, yeah, that's actually true. And people don't know, and obviously kids are not able to decipher, okay, that's nonsense, that don't really, they just come with what they hear at home, and it's just a problem, right? So
Right.
the overall impact of that, I think maybe for certain generations, maybe past generations, it took away certain pride, and then they go ahead, they have maybe raised families without that level of pride in where they are from or who they are. That's, just based on some of the things that you kind of said in one of your posts. Um, why do you think that is? Why do you think we don't necessarily have the pride that we should have, considering our achievements as people, whether it's in sports, whether it's in industry, whether it's in science?
Mm-hmm.
Why is there not that pride?
Um, I'm not gonna say that there's not. What I think is in recent times, just after there's Windrush and then there was the migration to the United States, to Canada, to all those places. Now it's cool to be West Indian.
Yeah.
Now it's cool. But I do know, I do have memories of the things that people would say to my parents when they immigrated. I mean, we were born in the States, but at the same time, I think my dad was like, this is not where I want to raise my kids. So by the time I was 5, he was like, let's get back. But I think for survival, for assimilation reasons, people had to water down who they were, because Western society is all about assimilation and everybody being like one homogenous group. And if you wanted to survive, you had to kind of, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. Um, and because, again, of Western propaganda, of especially with Haiti, trying to make them on always feel bad for having the audacity to say no, having the audacity to rebel, and making an example of anybody who is other. Like, it is challenging to the structures of white supremacy and Western um, imperialism when you have people who aren't Western, people who aren't white, being proud in their identity and being somewhat enviable, sorry, to others. Like, if you don't browbeat them, if you don't make them ashamed, other people who look like you're going to start to ask questions like, oh man, yeah, I'm white, but like, I like how these West Indian people move. Maybe
You're I think you pressed the mute button. It looks like you're on a mute.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Oh, but I can't hear you.
You can't hear me? I can hear you.
Let me see what my audio is doing. Oh, okay, I see what happened. Technology. Can you hear me better now?
I can hear you now, yeah.
Okay.
You're a lot your volume's a lot lower than it was.
Testing 1, 2. Can you hear me
Ah,
any? Okay, yeah.
perfect. You're back.
Too many devices.
No problem. Sorry, so you got to the point where you're saying Western society
They
yeah.
only thrive with, there's no way for capitalism, imperialism, white supremacy to function with equality. There has to be somebody who is at the bottom of their hierarchy. And if we are allowed to have pride, then the hierarchies no longer make sense. Because for a hierarchy to work, I have to believe that I'm at the bottom. And you have to force me to do that.
Do you think we believe we're at the bottom, or are we
I
struggling with our
think
identity in that regard?
I think it's twofold. I think spiritually we don't, but I think we are too eager to just accept, kind of go with the flow for our own safety
Mm.
and for our own success. And also, which is also another struggle, especially you can see it in like the United States with Caribbean and African immigrants versus African Americans. It's that because we have a second consciousness of a place where we do not have to conform to the white man, we do not have to conform to the white gaze, it's easy for certain things to just roll off our shoulder because in our head we're like, we just there to make our money. You can think what you want about me. I don't care. I'm a bear it because at the end of the day, I can go home. And when I go in my, I don't care about you. But with them, they're forced to live with these people for they've never had a break. They've never had any peace from white supremacy. So they have to take it seriously. And that's why I don't even get mad when they feel a certain way about certain things because their reality is not ours. We may look similar, but their reality is they've never, and if we think about that, that's kind of mind bending. They've never had an escape from oppression, like never. For generations, we've had the opportunity to experience what it is to be fully human without them telling us who we are, right? So for us, when we come to their countries, it's like we know what they're about. We're just there to climb the ladder. And if that means I have to play a role for me to get what I want out of your country, then I'm gonna do it. But it also is very detrimental to the movement of like challenging the social structure too. So we might pretend to feel like we're less than, or we might not fully embrace the nuances of the power structures that are happening because in our minds we're still the default, we're still the ones in authority back home, and this isn't our home, so we don't feel it the same way. But what it does is it just enables the same trends to keep happening socially.
That's a great point. I have a good friend who unfortunately couldn't tune in today, but she always speaks about ac- acceptance in the UK or wanting to know where she belongs, right? And she will always say to me that I don't understand because I understand where I belong, right? Um, so that's a great point that you made because when I see African Americans like going at Caribbean people or going at, even people that are based in the UK, I'm always like, I don't understand. I don't understand where you're coming
Yeah,
from. Or to say, oh, you've never had another choice. You've
they
never
don't
known
have,
anything
and they
different.
don't have it still.
Right.
They
Yeah.
don't, and it's so layered and so deep for them, and I feel it. I feel it, but I'm also a West Indian person, so don't come and try
Don't
and
trouble
ram
you.
with me.
Don't
Because
trouble you.
because don't trouble, let's trouble. Because while I understand your pain, I understand your plight. Watch your mouth.
Yes.
Because when I unleash my tongue and I unchain it, the chain not coming back, and now you're gonna you're gonna feel away. But even in my addressing them, and this is what I want, I would love to encourage our people to do. I don't believe in weaponizing oppression,
Mm-mm.
right? If you look at my content, there's nothing about me that will you can say that I would weaponize their oppression against them. If they choose to be willfully ignorant, I might say that, but I will not call them like I will not weaponize slavery against them because we went through that too. I won't
Mm.
weaponize the actual systemic issues that they have. I'm not going to weaponize that or call them slaves or whatever because that's to me that's us being just like the people who are oppressing them, right? We're very witty people. We know how to cuss real good. So like we can combat their ignorance in a clever way that is not also very anti-black and somewhat racist and bigoted. There's a way for us to address that. But like I said, as much as I understand their plight, watch your
Not
mouth.
yet. We
Watch your mouth.
don't take disrespect lightly.
at,
Um,
at all.
so based on that, and also speaking, sorry, actually, one point I need to make, and you have to forgive me. It is 4
That's
a.m.
fine.
You have to forgive me. I saw that you lost a lot of your works recently. as a musician, as a writer, I understand. But it also seems like you now it kind of stoked your creative fire, because you just seem to be passionate now. One thing
Very.
to say you weren't passionate
I
before.
think I'm more publicly passionate
Yeah.
because I think I'm more open about putting things in like on public record because I'm very you know what's her name? We can't cuss here. But what's her name? Erica Badu said I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my ish. That's me. So for me, previously, I'm one of those like bamboo season people where I will work underground, and not share anything until I feel like it's perfect.
Mm.
But that worked against me because I lost everything that I was working on. So this time around, Drew, one of my friends, Cookie Robinson, like she really encouraged me, and she's like, "You have. It doesn't have to be perfect. People will still like what you're doing anyway. Like let people in on the process." And
Mm.
I resisted for a while, and then when when I lost everything, I was like, okay, this is a clear sign from the ancestors, from God, from the universe. You need to do something different so you can get a different result. And I have been very overwhelmed with just the response from my people. And
Mm.
I'm so, when I tell you, I'm so galvanized and so passionate to create, to actually pursue these things, these ideas aggressively, which is why I'm almost done with a book that I'm going to be putting up for sale at the end of the month. And I'm hoping everybody, I need at least 3,000 people to buy a copy so that I can put my first short film, produce it and put it into the film contest. Because when I tell you I am so passionate about telling our stories, showing us in very nuanced ways, showing us that we do not need anybody but us to speak for us, to show us, to portray us, to tell our stories. We don't have to wait for Hollywood. We don't have to wait for no big. We can fund these things with each other, like invest in each other. So if they're young filmmakers, young musicians, young authors, let's invest, let's crowdfund. Everybody can like pay $5 for a book, or like $5-10 for like a bag or a mug or something. And collectively we can start building it like we did this region. Like we
Mhm.
built our country, so we can build our industries. We don't have to depend on, there's more diaspora
Yeah.
out there than in the Caribbean. So imagine the massive audience we have for anything that we put out, you know?
100% correct, and that's what the Creole Collective is all about, right?
Hmm.
I was hoping to have seen the mug so that we can show the people,
Oh, I do have that.
and the bag,
I got
and
it. I got
and,
it. Hold
and
on. Hold on.
these things.
Hold on. I'm trying my best not to um not to shift so I disrupt my system. Give me 2 seconds.
All right, no problem. So, people, right now we are talking to Jade the Gemini, obviously about things pertaining to being Caribbean people, and basically the impact that we can have on the world.
Yeah.
And we're back.
And I'm back. So
I
we
just,
have the mug.
here you
Don't
go.
trouble until trouble you. I got this especially because one, that's kind of our attitude. Everywhere we go, like we
Yep.
just minding our business, and we doesn't look people trouble. But if you do,
Then
you will
you get,
regret it.
you get
And then I have the tote bag. We also have sweaters. We have wallpapers for your phone. So if you want to pay $1, if you want to support in any way, the wallpaper for your phone is $1. We have fleece blankets because winter is coming. I'm gonna get one of those because I'm traveling soon. Um, we have crop tops. We have I'm gonna continue adding, especially as people make their requests, because I'm all about like I love merch. I love merch and I love supporting my own people. So, and I know a lot of people are like me. So I want to, put these things, like we feel a lot of pride when we have our little keychains with our islands and stuff. So I wanted to
yeah,
give people things that resonate with us. And if you're at work and you have the mug and then somebody asks you like, what does that mean? And you can explain, and there you go. You share pieces of your culture and your heritage, and also you send a message. Don't mess with me. Mind
exactly.
you.
So speaking of messing with you,
Mhm.
What's your top 5 icks of all time?
Caribbeans, number one.
Caribbeans is at the top of that list.
Ah,
Okay.
Caribbeans is number one.
All right.
Number two would be thinking all of us are from Jamaica.
I mean,
Like,
I mean,
open your eyes. No,
I-
it's not that we have a problem with Jamaicans, right? We love you. I went to school. I went to UWI in Jamaica. Spent.
okay.
I had some of the greatest experiences. In fact, my time in Jamaica is what pushed me to actually take my artistry seriously. So
Oh,
I owe Jamaica so much. Um, but like the same way Jamaicans proud of where they from, we proud of where we from too. Like it's St. Lucia doesn't want to be known as a Dominican, and a Dominican don't want to be known as a Vinci. So it's like open the open a book. My God, it's 2024. Like
at
that
least
one is
recognize that we sound slightly different
uh, I
at the
I don't
very
know
least.
what it is. I always tell people your accent is like your passport.
Hmm.
That's how you know who you are. Like we know, like I can hear you like, oh, you're from Jamaica, and I can hear like, oh, you're from Trinidad. Like that's how we know our people is with the accent, you know? My third ick. This one is gonna get me in trouble. But I hate when non-West Indian or maybe Western men um think that because we cook and clean and do all those things that means that we're like these domesticated and like people they can run over. I'm like, bro, the reason we do that is because the men do it too. It's
Hmm.
we don't use that as some power play or something to put down women. Like it's a basic life skill. So don't come here and use us, one, to feel like you can walk all over us, and two, to make your woman look like, oh, West Indian women, y'all cook and clean. Everybody cooks and clean. The reason they don't want to do it for you is because you're a jackass. Anyway, number four would be them the way people talk about Haitian people.
Mm.
Like my main thing about that is if they're as bad as you think, is it wise to trouble them?
True.
So obviously, it's not that you think they're bad. You just want to be a goat. Like, there's nothing else I can say about that. And number five, I have to make that one count. Number five. Oh my God, the
Wow.
DJs playing hip hop and R&B in
A carnival,
Caribbean.
they're gonna get upset. People are gonna get upset. Let me just clarify. Let me just so hip hop and R&B or maybe other genres. Um, are we talking specifically about on the road or
Yes,
okay, fine.
because do we know why we do carnival? So what? How on earth? Why? First of all, let me tell you why I have a problem with it. If you listen to the content of, especially in the Lesser Antilles, of our music, it's about vibes, good times, happiness, life, thanking God, chilling with your woman, dancing,
Mm,
happy vibes, and music is spiritual. When you introduce this violent, sometimes perverse content, you change the spirit of the event. Because for
mm,
us, and this is another thing that really irritates me, because Western people have not found a way to be sensual without being perverse and without being perverted, anything that we do with our body, they sexualize it, they interpret it. There's a way to be a sensual person, and it's a pure thing, it's an expression. It's not, it doesn't have to do with coitus. It's therapeutic, it's cathartic. That's just how we express ourselves, and it's pure to us. But because they've never had an opportunity, again, because of slavery and the plantation, they can only define these movements and this activity as what they did on the plantation. They've never had a chance to redefine it the way that we have.
mm,
So when you introduce that music and that vibe and the violence and the perversion and all that, and calling women bitches and whatever, we don't do that in our music.
no.
Exactly. So when you have women who are vulnerable and we're clad in our carnival wear and you have men hair in that, and now they're going to objectify the women. That's not safe. That's not safe for anybody. You're changing the spirit of what we were there for. So it's like a waste of money.
Yeah, I hear you. So those are your top five. But
Yeah.
I like what you just said, speaking about making, well, introducing different things spiritually into the carnival.
Yeah.
Um, and what's really good is when you're speaking, you kind of sending me on different angles, which is good. But we want to talk about playing different music at carnival in a
Yeah.
sense. However, what you just touched on, I want you to talk about Caribbean femininity. That's one of the things that you've spoken about. And yeah, I've done my research. I've done my research.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, "Oh, okay."
You know what I mean? Yeah, did a good thing, auntie, you know. So tell us about Caribbean femininity and how, well, how that impacts you, what you see. You know, talk to us.
So I think it came to a focus for me when I moved back here to the States. And I've just struggled with connecting with people who weren't either immigrants or Caribbean people themselves. And then, with the pandemic, everybody had a podcast, and then red pill stuff, and it was always about women deserve less and women do this and women are that. I'm like, which women are you talking about? Like, I don't, I don't know her. And like, they want to talk to you a certain way, and I'm very much like, who the hell you think you're talking to? Like, I will, like, don't try to be violent with me. I was like, boy, that kind of thing. And I was like, why does this bother me so much? And I see other women just accept it, and then I realize like it will never jive with my spirit, because the men that I grew up around, unless they were like super religious, we generally are equals.
Mm.
There's no there's no like, when they say like, oh, don't let a woman do that, it's not because they're like they think you're less. It's more like, we appreciate you so much, we just want to make life easier for you. Oh, let me hold your bags for you, let me do this for you. It's not that they don't think we're capable, it's just that they just feel it's neighborly. They feel good about helping women, and they like you. They do it because they like you, not because they think that you're less. And I kind of had to sit with, as much as they call us backwards, we're
Mm.
not the ones who are afraid to have women leaders. We're not the ones banning books. We're not the ones making laws to cause people not to be able to own their bodies. Like, we're not backwards. Some other people are. Like, you have Portia Simpson Miller, you have Mia Motley, you have Demi Jr. Charles, and I can go on. How many different countries have had women as a president or prime minister? Like, my president right now is a woman. The president and prime minister of Barbados are women. There's another island too. But like, we've always had women in leadership. We've always had women in rebellions. We've always had women in protests. We've always had women in everything. And the women are right. The women, the maroon leaders have been women as well as men. So it's like, we've never been told that we can't be anything. And our men encourage us to be everything, because for them, if we win, they win. And when they win, we win. So that's what Caribbean femininity is. It's unapologetic. We're fully human. We don't have to conform to anything except self-actualization. We get to be soft and strong. We get to be delicate and resilient. We get
Mm.
to be everything. And
Oh,
in
that's
and in turn, men get to be everything too.
balance.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, so now we've spoken about balance. We've set the stage. Um, Carney, you seem to have taken issue with UK people that abbreviate Carnival to Carney. You said it specifically in
Yeah.
your post, and when I posted that we was gonna chat to you today, the amount of questions I got on my WhatsApp, I have to clarify this and say, why would that be with the UK first and second and third generations? Why?
Apparently, they told me it was the third and fourth gens. because the first and
Oh,
second
everybody's
gens
putting
were
it.
very, yeah, they were very clear. Like, we would never say this nonsense because they were like, no, no, it's not us. It's not us. We know better. And then upon investigation, I realized it's like really, really young, really, really
Mm,
young kids. And a lot of them informed me that even if they have the flag, that doesn't even mean like they're
oh
actually
yeah,
from the West Indies.
yeah.
And a lot of them, it's like their great grandmother or whatever. So they're so far removed from it, but they just want to participate in whatever is fun now. And because of that, again, when you don't understand the value of something, you're going to treat it anyway. Carnival is not, if they understood the roots of carnival, if they understood what the spirit of carnival was, they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't call it carny like it's something to abbreviate. An
Mm.
extra syllable is not going to do anything to you.
No, that's right.
It's not
Look,
something, because unless they deliberately want to make a colonized version of something, but again, that's, to me, it's just like being a colonizer but of your own people.
mm,
And I was like, I blame the parents because um it doesn't matter how much time we spent in the United States, we were very clear who we were. Is like, this is not your home. Your
mm.
home is in the middle of the Caribbean Sea. Okay? And
So
I carry that with me. So I try my best. If I'm going to wear the Dominican flag, I better not be doing anything to undermine my culture.
that's a great point. When you speak about the flag, whatever your flag is, you spoke about
Mhm.
your accent being your passport and your flag. What I started to realize more than anything is, and I know probably in America it's different because there's a lot of pledging allegiance to the flag, etc. But what I noticed a lot is that there's not that honor in the flag necessarily. The further down you go down the generations, um, and again, is that do you say that's the parents' fault? What
Mhm.
you just blame the parents? Just the one
Mhm.
broad statement is the parents. All right,
Mhm. Because where
um,
else are they gonna learn?
it's true. Um, so two parents then, if we're gonna go down that line, what part? Imagine hmm, what parts of the culture, because not everything from home you have to take abroad. Not everything.
But I'd ask why.
I'm saying I'm gonna
It,
I'm
it,
gonna get
it,
there. I'm
yeah.
gonna get there. Um, you may have been raised in a strict household without we're online, so I'm not gonna say when I say strict,
Oh,
you
I
might
was. I was
you
though.
you'll understand what I'm saying, right?
Mhm.
Um, and some of that may be legacy of slavery, but you may not want to take that across the border. You
Okay.
may choose to change. So I'm saying there's some things that you may not want to take. Not everything.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, yeah, that would be like personal variations and stuff like that.
yeah,
I
yeah, yeah,
agree.
exactly. So I'm saying, what's the most important parts of traditions and culture? And I want you to answer broad. We know you're strict. We know you're Dominican, but on a broad part,
Yeah.
would you suggest or would you say to parents, look, you have to make sure that when you're raising your kids, they need to know these core things, you know, so that we don't do things like call it carny or Caribbeans or the various other things or disrespect the flag or call the flag because certain flags have gold, not yellow, and they'll say yellow, and
Yeah.
you'll get into these arguments with people and say it's not. But there's certain
Right.
subtleties.
I think the first thing um that parents need to do is stop bad talking the West Indies to their kids when they migrate. Because
Yes.
a lot of them, um, I don't know if it's a lot, but quite a few of them, when I speak to their kids and I'm like, why do you all have this attitude? And if you pull the string, you find out that a lot of their parents who did migrate have this idea that, like they escape these backwards people, or like they pass down these very negative, condescending views of the Caribbean to their kids. And therefore, their kids now come online with their flag and they hear people who are actually from the West Indies, because now we have online and it's like a global village, and they will argue down people who are
mm,
actually in the region doing the work, raised, born and bred. They will argue, well, I'm Caribbean. Once you say I'm Caribbean, we already know.
mm,
We already know what you are. Be like, oh, I'm a Caribbean, and we say Caribbeans all the time. I'm like, that's because you're not from the Caribbean. You have Caribbean heritage.
mm. So, is there no saving those people?
Yes, there is.
Oh,
If they want to be, if they want to be, because I mean, like, you can't deny anybody their heritage. But at the same time, if you weaponize your heritage against the people who are actually there, like, that's kind of wild. So if you teach, it starts with the parents teaching them, like, hey, we didn't leave because it's a terrible place. We left because we wanted to get opportunities for you, because we are budding, we're new nations, and we got gutted by these people. So technically, we just coming back to take what they stole from us in the first place. And if you teach your children from that, then they have an idea like, hey, our people did such an amazing job, and some of them are staying behind to build these countries into what we need to develop these countries. And they could leave, but they're choosing to stay and make these places that we can run to when these places eventually either crash or kick us out,
you know
or
they're
when
gonna
it
kick
gets
us out,
to,
right?
yeah, or when it gets too violent, or when we're not, we always have a home, but you can't raise your children to hate the home that they might have to run to,
Mm.
because now you're just raising a set of colonizers. And why would you put more in your oppressor's pocket than in yours? That's kind of wild.
So with that, then I think we can all accept that even the rebuilding of our countries back home needs the diaspora as well.
Need, need,
So
need.
and so it's important to make sure that you still instilling the cultures, the traditions, etc. Sorry, that was a question that I asked. We answered one piece of the question.
Yeah.
What else would you say to
when it
parents?
when it comes to, like, traditions or like events that are rooted in history, though, you need to teach them the importance of that, because when they understand the weight of it, they don't treat it like anything.
Mm,
You as a parent have to have some type of reverence for where you come from, and understand our countries, a lot of them are just like 40, 50, 60 years old. That's a young.
mm,
And look at all how what we've been able to accomplish in like two, three, four generations. How many of us now who are like, what, two generations or a generation outside of independence, have multiple degrees, Harvard graduates, Ivy League graduate, Oxford graduates, we're doing things, we're in all these high places, making moves, calling the shots in these very, like, newly independent countries. So that's nothing to scoff at. Whereas you have these people who have been established for centuries, and look at their society is still crap. So it's like, we need to have we need to get away from the white is right mentality, and teach our people that, teach our children, well, those who have children, teach them that your home is should be your favorite place. Your home is the only thing that you actually have. You don't have nothing in them, people. You paying property tax forever. The government can come and take it. Whereas back home, your land is your land. Sometimes it's there for generations. That's yours. That's your home. Your
mm.
government cannot kick you out because that's your home. Tell somebody kick you out of Jamaica. Who
Oh,
can kick you?
that's the
Exactly.
problem.
No matter
Um,
where you are, you can go back to Jamaica. You
yeah.
know?
So when again with that, it's also teaching them that your back home is not just a holiday destination, right? So,
That's
and
your
this is what I say to people a lot. I say, you got to do more than spend the 1 week a year or 2 weeks a year back home. You got to make sure that you are part of the community. Make sure the people know you. Some people go on to just go to the holiday resort, and the holiday resort's an American holiday resort. So you're
and
not putting no
act
money back home.
and then act like the most disgruntled,
Yes,
condescending tourist.
yes.
And then get upset when the people in the region be like, we don't really like y'all. Like, you
Hmm.
can't treat people badly and expect a hug. That doesn't work. And And again, if you knew West Indian people, if you knew us, you would know one thing: we don't like fake people.
No.
We don't like rude people. We don't like people who are condescending or think they're better than us, because
Mm-hmm.
we will teach you a lesson real quick. But if you were connected to the culture, you would know that kind of attitude would never fly here.
Mm-hmm.
And we make no apology about checking you.
No, well, of course. Um, so as a filmmaker, you get the Creole Collective is doing extremely well. You get all the funding you need.
It's new. It
Oh,
hasn't.
yeah, no man, yeah, no man, yeah, no man. Let me finish. Let me land, like they say in the States. Let me land, man. The Caribbean Collective, the Creole Collective is doing very well. What film would you like? We know the type of film you like to make.
Mm-hmm.
But what, which hero of the Caribbean would you be doing a film about? You know,
Oh,
name us some characters. I got somebody in mind,
I
but I
would
don't have
love.
the millions that it might take to get you to do a film.
Listen, we can make it happen.
All
I
right.
have. I would love to do a film about Morris Bishop.
Mm,
Like, love to do a film about Morris Bishop. Um, and I would also love to do a film about. I would love to do a film about Hatui, the Taino, um,
mm,
the Taino cacique, who literally his line was so badass to me when he was like, when they were about to execute him, and he was like, I don't want to go to heaven if heaven is full of these people. Like, I'd rather go to whatever hell y'all say I'm gonna go to. Yeah,
mm.
but those two stood out to me, and obviously Jacko, the Maroon leader. I would love to do films about that, but I also want to do like fantasy film. Like, we have so much folklore and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be so
Talk,
cool.
man, talk. It's your say
My
what.
Okay, so my pet project that I have in my mind, a film that I really want to do, is um that default, like people live very long on the islands, especially in Dominica. I don't know if that's, but we had the most centenarians per capita in the
Oh,
world. So
flexing.
it's like I would love to make a film where like the people in the Caribbean don't age because we have secret access to the fountain of youth, and we've been hoarding it, and the outside doesn't know. So they think they're coming to like and then people are like, whenever I come here I'm so relaxed and whatever, and the secret is our waters, like our waterfalls, our rivers, our pools. They're just getting 1 week at a time, and they're like their health improves, and they feel like it's because they're on vacation, but no, it's actually because there are supernatural properties in our water. So that's kind of one of the big fantasy films I would love to make.
Oh, fantastic. And I think it's important to do more than just serious films, right?
Oh
It's
yeah.
it's important to show people that we can dream and there's, Marvel exists. We can have a version of Marvel, and
I have that written. I have something called Secret Hidden Kingdoms already like drafted. Like, I want that for, like, I want our children to grow up and hear their accent, hear Jamaican patois, or not whatever nonsense these people in Hollywood they try and fake. The stupid
what's
accent.
the worst accent? Sorry to cut you. Sorry to cut you. What's the
Mhm.
worst Caribbean accent you've heard in a movie of all time?
Oh my god. What move? I think it was a film, because I don't like to watch Hollywood much, but I
Mm.
do remember there was a film where there was some vampires, right? And they had like a witch doctor, and the
It's
lady,
always the witch doctors, right?
exactly, and the lady was supposed to be a Jamaican. I was like, which part of Jamaica you from?
Was
Yes,
she was she
man.
black though? Was she black at least? 'Cause, sometimes Brad Pitt, you know.
That was the worst one. Now that you said that, that was the worst one. I could not believe I was like, whose idea was that? I was like, and Jamaica didn't write? Like, what?
Yeah, I was
No,
disgusted with
oh
that.
my God, they have to pay for their sins. I can't believe. I thank you for reminding me. My God.
There you go. You see, you're the filmmaker, so we have to fix this.
Ah,
Stress. We can put
that
that in the X. That's one of my X, though. That's one of my X. The accents sometimes I'm like, yo. this has to be
Yeah.
improved. You need to go to a better school, spend some time on the island, whatever needs to be.
Hire our people as dialect coaches. Like, hello.
Absolutely, absolutely. Um, so musically, what's coming next?
Right. So this is so the film, the music, and the novel are all like the Jade the Gemini rollout. I took a break for 3 years and now I'm like going full steam ahead. Guys, I really, really, really need your support to make this happen because being an independent anything it's hard work, but I
Mm.
believe in what I'm doing, and I really, really need people's support. This is like the first time I'm like actually asking people to support me. So musically, I have an album coming out, and I'm going to roll it out in phases with visual projects attached. So each block of songs are going to be well, each theme of song is going to be rolled out with like a short film with a story. So it's kind of the heart, the head, and the spirit. So the first rollout starts end of December, early July. So that's why I'm shooting in November. This is dealing with the heart. So all the people who love romance and love action and adventure, that's what the first block of songs. The first film is called Rebel.
Okay, and that's from December to July, you said.
No, so I'm gonna start rolling out. I'm submitting it in July, and then we're gonna start the rollout in January. But from December to July, I'll be releasing projects.
Okay, so December this year.
Yep.
Okay, okay, okay. Cool. And tell the people again where they can get you. I know some of them are streaming on IG, so they will see that. But outside of that, where can they get you? And those that are gonna watch it back on YouTube.
So you can find me at Jade the Gemini on Instagram and TikTok. You can go to thecreolecollective.com. That's where you can find all my products, any merch, and my book will also be my first novel will also be published there. Because I'll have it on Amazon as well, but I wanted to put it in somewhere because Amazon don't like to ship to the Caribbean, always an arm and a leg. So I wanted people to have a way to access it, so you can just download a copy and read it on your tablets, on your phones, on the go, wherever you want to, or in your email, whichever you want to do. I want to make sure that my people, because that's my audience,
Yeah.
can access it.
What are your thoughts on self? I know we've mentioned it, so I feel like I know your thoughts, but I want you to say for the people in self-reliance, self-dependency, and just doing it for self, as in a community and also an individual. So you're an independent artist. So you've taken this,
Yeah.
from the sounds of it, you've taken the stance to generate and raise the money for yourself and
hmm
build and push forward, propel yourself forward. How important is that?
People aren't going to invest in you if you don't invest in yourself. Like
Mm,
I believe in myself. I'm taking a lot of risks. Um, and opening myself to a lot of like failure, but it's because I strongly believe in what I'm doing, and the reason I believe in what I'm doing is because I'm not doing it just for me. It's not about like ego for me. I always tell people I don't really have that big of an ego. um I think because Dominica is still very highly indigenous, the ideology of the self and the community are one and the same, and you build yourself to build a community, and that's the approach that I take. Everything I do, everything that I want to create is because there's a bigger picture in mind, whether it's because when I produce these films, people see like, oh, where did you shoot that? Like, oh, I shot that in Grenada, I shot that in Dominica. Oh, this is a place where like filmmakers be like, oh, this is a great location, this will have this, and they're like, who did this? I was like, oh, it's a Dominican, it's a Trini, it's a Bahamian filmmaker. Oh, we could use them. I like theirs. So we generate income. We have tourism. Like when people see the film, like, oh, this is beautiful. Where's that pool? And be like, oh, on this little island. Oh, our next honeymoon, our next vacation, we're going there.
mm,
So, and then when people see the stories and they hear the accents, they'll be like, who is that? Who is Jacko? Who is that? The children would ask. You know what it's like to have kids running around the same way they play like Black Panther, and they or
mm,
they play dress up and they want to be Jacko,
mm,
in school where come as you like, and they have their own superheroes named after people they actually descend from. So
mm.
it's for me,
Powerful.
it's a three-pronged approach for me. It's like tourism, it's the economy, and it's culture and like pride. So if I can encourage people to one, bet on yourself. Two, build yourself so that you can build the people around you. Then I've done what I've needed to do with my life. Because at the end of the day, legacy, people confuse legacy and lineage. Lineage is just the kids that you have. Legacy is what you do with your time on earth. So I want to make sure that my legacy is something that lives past me. When I close my eyes, somebody can still turn on Netflix and they can see a story. They can go online and read a book about Bakwa, the great serpent who protects the Kalinago people. Like, I want that there so that when I'm gone, it's still there.
It's still there.
Yeah.
I always say something. I always say ownership is a legacy, right?
Ooh, yes.
We have to own our stories, and it's important for me that, and I've started to do more of that with my page, with our social media. And this year I started to do more social media, speaking about, our stories, etc., speaking to people like yourself, because I fundamentally believe if we don't tell our stories, other people tell our stories for us, and they don't tell it with any kind of respect for us. So, go ahead.
I love what you said there because I told people you be reading my mind. And like secret conversations I've had, I was like, the reason why it's important for Caribbean people to tell Caribbean stories is because when somebody else tells your story, no matter how much research they do, no matter how much care they put in it, there are certain things that they will never understand because they don't walk in your skin. So, like when you go to, like, I don't know if you've been to like a carnival, the Western carnivals, where they have the House of Mirrors and all the different mirrors have
Oh,
like different distorted versions of your face. So you see it and you know it's your face, but it's not quite because something is off. Something is just a little distorted. And that's how it feels when other people tell our stories because
yeah.
they don't see us the way we see us. So
Mhm.
they're going to always tell our stories in the ways that they see us. And sometimes the ways that they see us is very distorted because they don't understand what it is to walk in our shoes. Even if they like our shoes, they
You
just
know,
don't get it. And so that's the disconnect that we feel sometimes,
absolutely,
because it's like
absolutely.
we wouldn't
Um,
do that. We wouldn't say that. That wouldn't fly here.
and just like if somebody was telling a joke and everybody said, and then they say, "Well, you had to be there." It's a similar thing,
Exactly.
right? That
Exactly.
you have to have lived that life to understand, but we can convey that.
And then
And
on the other end, when you see something and you're like, oh my God, that is like
yeah,
that feeling of when you see something, it's like, yes, that's exactly how we are for real.
yeah,
That
it
feeling,
resonates.
we deserve to have that. And I don't think
Absolutely,
like we've been getting a lot of that, but we deserve it.
absolutely, absolutely. Um, Look, so I'm gonna say thank you so much for your time.
Thank you
It's
for
been a
having me.
great, no problem. It's been a great conversation. Um, I'm gonna let you finish by, and we know it's one of the icks. We know it's the number one ick. But for those people that didn't get the opportunity and haven't yet seen your post,
Mm,
several of them,
mm.
on the misuse, because even today I had a conversation with a friend of mine, and they'd seen the post and said, "No, but why wouldn't I say Caribbeans, right?" And I'm like, went through the whole exam, and eventually, after several voice notes, and admittedly, this person isn't from the Caribbean, right? So, you know,
Yeah.
um, after several voice notes, they said, "Oh, I see where you're coming from." So I'm gonna give you your moment in time on this live to break it all the way down. And I want the full talk, please, Jade. We want the English breakdown of the nouns and the one word
Okay,
thing,
fine.
please.
We can do that. But the first reason is because we don't like it.
Yes,
The first reason, if I tell you my name is Jade, you can call me Jane, you can call me Janet because it's easier for you and because you like it better. Point blank,
yes,
period. We shouldn't even have to break down the nouns and the whatever. But the same way you wouldn't say rices and furnitures because they already indicate pluralization. That's why you don't add an S at the end of Caribbeans because the Caribbean is a region. It's just like if you have human. Human has AN at the end. Ocean has AN at the end. That's just the an at the end of Caribbean does not mean from. It's not a suffix. It's just how the word is spelled. We as people cannot be a region. I cannot be a Caribbean because the Caribbean is a region. It's a collective noun, it's a proper noun. The Caribbean or Caribbean, the word with the small c, is an adjective, meaning a describing word. So it's Caribbean woman. You just don't say, hey, I see some talls the other day. Hey, I see some reds the other day. No, that's not how you use adjectives. You don't add an S at the end of adjectives and let them be standalone. You cannot make an adjective a noun and vice versa. So we, a Caribbean people, it's basic English. I don't know why we fighting grammar. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. And again, that is the other thing. Like, we have a right to say, don't call us something. I don't understand you telling me your name. I was like, so why can't I call you what I want? Because nobody else would tolerate that. So why are we being asked to do so?
Exactly. And what I did love about one of the posts that you made was when you said, and I'm paraphrasing, maybe I'm putting my own words in here, but this is how I interpreted it, was that you never call them jellyback, but you said people that have no, I
Pride.
can't remember the exact word, but basically they weren't brave enough to stand up and say, we do not want to be called this. They were just accepting what they were being called.
Yeah.
And I think that's so, it's in line with everything that we've said. When we talk about pride, we talk about the flag, we talk about your accent being your passport, we talk about our movies, we talk about seeing our representation, etc., 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 and understanding the importance of who you are and what we are as a people, and making sure that the world recognizes that and doesn't diminish or group it all in by just saying, I want to call you this and I should be able to call you this.
And you know why that we should not allow that? Because we've gone through that in the Caribbean already. The first thing Christopher Columbus do when he came there is change the names of a lot of people. You don't say Yamaka, you don't a lot of people will not say Wadadli. We thankfully still know them and hold on to them, and a lot of us name our bears and certain things after that. But the first thing any colonizer does is change your name to erase your identity. And we need to understand that we are facing a bigger threat now because of neo-colonialism. They haven't even paid us reparation, and they still want to take more without even paying us for what they take already. We
Yeah.
cannot. It starts in little things. It starts socially. It starts in your mind. So if you allow people to call you something that is not correct for their convenience, then what is stopping them from taking your land? What is stopping
Yeah.
them from little by little just violating you? It's those little things, it's those little boundaries that they push. So you need to be like, no, address me properly or don't address me at all. And if you say it 99 times, I will correct you 99 times because we petty and we have lean, we have stamina, we will correct you.
True. Love that. Absolutely love that. So Jade, thank you so much. Once again, please tell the people them at your
Jade Tha Gemini on Instagram, on TikTok. And if you want to buy your merch, if you want to support me, if you want to be a part of what we're doing, thecreolecollective.com.
and one more post. Sorry, because you said it
No,
and
don't
you like
apologize.
so
Yeah.
much. Um, you said on one of your posts recently, you said you'd been pretending to be you've been faking your American accent a week. But the work voice or the code switching that you just did there, Jade the Gemini, yeah,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, yeah. I mean, at some point, you just get used to it, man. But then I love going home, and I can be like, let me stretch my fruits.
you can you can be who you are. So thank you so much, Jade. I really appreciate you, and yeah,
Thank you.
keep
This
the link,
is
man.
fun.
Keep on letting us know how you're doing, and obviously we'll share as well and make people tell them to buy some cups. Card. Don't trouble unless trouble you.
Listen, because these people are wild in the office, yo. They're wild.
Fantastic. All right, then. Thank you so much, Jade.
Thank
And
you.
we'll chat soon.
All right. Take care. Bye.